Hey everybody, welcome to episode 19. It's hard to believe that we're there already, but very happy to have today's guest on. Very happy to have Sarah Nagy on the show. Sarah is not only a Team Canada kayaker, but a training partner and teammate of mine from the past, but is also a really good friend. And she's had a lot of success for Team Canada over the years. She won a historic bronze medal at the Junior World Championships, the first ever K4 medal for Canada ever, and has been a part of the Canadian national team for 3+ years. Has just recently raced at the U23 World Championships here in Hungary. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks for that nice introduction. I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me on.
Oh my gosh, we're super pumped to have you, and can't wait to hear about your stories and your journey through sports. It's an honor to have you on, Sarah. So thanks for taking the time out of your night.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Adam, why don't you kick us off for the first question of the night, buddy?
My first question is, to have the first medal for Canada, what did that feel like? Like, it must have been like, you must have been like elated, because I know just hearing about it makes me excited.
Yeah, that was incredible. That was Junior Worlds 2019. So that was our K4, which we had only been training for like maybe 2 weeks before that race. So we didn't really have too high expectations for it. And then we raced our heat and we won. So we got the direct final, and that's when we started getting kind of excited for it. We had a good lane, and we were right beside the Hungarians, who ended up winning the race, and we knew they were going to be a strong crew. And that's when we kind of started getting like, wow, we could actually do well. This is pretty cool. That it was the first time we'd even had a boat in the final in a number of years. So just getting into the final, we were happy. And then we were just kind of, let's just throw down the best race we can and see what happens. And it ended up getting us a bronze medal. So we were super pumped for that.
Wow, that fires me up just hearing about it.
Yeah, and K4 is such a tough race. Like, I mean, the competition is so deep, like all around the world. Like, it's like I said earlier, like Canada has never had a K4 medal at the Junior Worlds or in an Olympic event ever until that moment there. I remember watching that race and I was like, did that just happen? Like, holy, like that was like, I watched the race twice and I was like, wow, like that's huge.
Yeah, that was a really exciting race. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff for sure that goes into K4. There's 4 people all working together. I was in 3rd spot, so it's my job to kind of take what the people in the back are doing and make sure it's working well with the people in the front, and keep the cohesion between all 4 people going, and make sure the boat's running smoothly. And it was the first time I'd been in that spot before. It's the first time we'd been in that crew before. So we were just hoping for the best, and it ended up working out for us.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story, and you'll always have that memory for sure. And so I want to take it back a little bit, Sarah, and kind of get your starting spot for sports. Like, were you always a huge fan of sports growing up, and did you play lots of sports, or what kind of drew you into canoeing and kayaking?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was always in a lot of sports. I was a competitive dancer before I was a paddler, and swimming and gymnastics and stuff like that. Not competitively, but I was always involved in sports like that. I got into paddling. Both my older brothers paddled before me, so I was always going to competitions to watch them, and kind of being bored on the side of the race course, going, I want to give this a try.
I bet there was a little friendly competition with them. Hey, you want to be a little bit
Yeah.
faster than them?
Yeah, exactly. And I was the club that I'm from is pretty small, and especially back then there was not very many girls. So there was one competition. The first time I ever paddled ever was in a race, because it was one of the girls didn't show up for a K2 race at our Western Ontario qualifiers for provincials. So it was like maybe 20 minutes before the race, and one of the girls still wasn't there. So the coach was like, you need to get in this boat. You're the only other girl that's here. And I had never paddled before. I was 7 years old, and it was
No
a
way.
U12. It was a U12 race. That was the first time I ever paddled ever.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
the next summer I signed up for the racing development program, and just been
That's
going
7
ever
years
since.
old. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I love
Yeah,
that.
I was 7. My K2 partner, she was I think about 10 or 11, and it was a U12 race. And we came third and we qualified for provincials.
Wow, even a badass back then. I love it. 7-year-old badass.
Like we talk about like natural talent a lot, but like I mean, the hop in a boat to do a sport you've never done to qualify for provincials at that age, like I mean, I think I'd be petrified of the water at 7.
Yeah, the coach told me I didn't even have to touch the water if I didn't want to. I just had to make sure they didn't tip. I just had to stay in the boat, and he was going to be happy with it.
Like even just staying in the boat, like it, I remember my first week at the club, like I still remember my first day, and they tried to get me in the K4, and I'm like, what do you mean I have to balance with 3 other people right now? Like, why can't I just balance by myself? I'm there trying to like sit in the K4 like crisscross applesauce, and I was like, no, you got to keep your legs straight. And I'm like, my legs don't move like that.
I think maybe I was so young I didn't even realize that kind of stuff. I just got in and kept going.
The adrenaline just took over and it handled it for you, kind of.
We're going
Yeah,
so
exactly.
fast.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
so cool. So Amy, what's your first question of the night there, bud?
Yeah, so like my first question, like and also too, by the way, I think you're our first guest from out of province that we've had too. So should have put that in the intro, but from Toronto, Ontario. But what was it like growing up? Because I know you started over at Burloak, which is a very historic club. They've had a lot of successful athletes, but then you switched over to Richmond Hill, which has been a smaller club, but has had some successful athletes like yourself and good friend Roland as well too. But just kind of like talk about the club atmosphere that you have at Richmond Hill, and why has that been like such an integral part of not just your training, but like how you got to where you are.
Yeah, I've been at Richmond Hill for I don't even know how many years, a long time. It's been definitely big part of my paddling journey and who I am, and gone through a few different coaches and a lot of different training partners, but it's always been I started out at Richmond Hill. I paddled at Richmond Hill for 3 or 4 years, and then went to Burloak after that for a couple of years, and then ended up coming back to Richmond Hill. So since that race when I was 7, I've been in a Richmond Hill jersey pretty much ever since, other than a couple of years in between at Burloak. Yeah, it's the I mean, you know yourself from Masqua, I'm sure, just you spend so much time with these people that they just become like your second family. And having gone through that for a few years and different ups and downs with them, and just surviving through it all, 6 a.m. practices when you don't really want to be there, but you got to push each other to keep going. And for sure, they're my best friends, and they keep me going for sure.
That's one thing that I find so cool about paddling and canoeing. It just the tight bond that and I see it with Hemi and all his buddies from Masqua, and just that feeling of community and that family feeling that you guys all have. And I think it's so cool. And you know, it just really builds everyone up around you, right? When you get that kind of teamwork and you get those kind of people and you surround yourself by those people, and it brings the best out of everyone when you're working together for a common goal. So I think that's really cool.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's an individual sport, but it's definitely wouldn't be the same without all their teammates being there, helping you get through it, and helping you all get better. Even though at the end of the day you all have to compete against each other, we all kind of work together, making each other better, and that's really special about our sport, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So Den, what's your next question there for the night, buddy?
Well, I got a question and a comment. My comment is that sport is so family oriented that you see the people you do sports with more than you see your own family, for crying out loud. So
Yeah.
so I guess you got to kind of make the best of what you got.
Yeah, I mean, there's like both me and Sarah have been away at camps for a long time, and we've even been in some like bubble situation camps where we're kind of like centralized in one location. I was like, okay, like the 50 people here in your camp, these are the only 50 people you might see for like 2-3 months. So you almost it forms naturally on its own.
Yeah, exactly. And even training at home, we spend so much time training and so little time at home that we kind of like when I remember when I was in high school, I would train at 6 a.m., be at school 8 to 3, and then be back at the lake like 4 to 7. So you're really only home to sleep, and that's about it. I would definitely be spending more time at the canoe club than I would be awake at home.
It's
So that time adds up for sure.
it definitely is a rigorous training sport, and kind of leads to my next question is what kind of motivates you to keep showing up to practice every day? Like you said, 6 a.m. before school, you go after school. What kind of keeps Sarah Nagy motivated to keep showing up to practice?
I love training. I think I love training more than I love competing. I think that's what keeps me in the sport, keeps me coming back. I love just the feeling of pushing myself every day and every practice, and just the sense of freedom that it gives me for sure. Especially the sport we have, being outside, being on lakes, stuff like that. It's a really amazing feeling. Just being out there, pushing hard, being able to forget other stuff that's going on in your life and just have this 1 hour to focus on something I love to do. And that's what keeps me coming back for sure, day after day, is
I
the
love
how much
that.
I love
I
the training.
love that answer. Oh my gosh, because I am that's me when I'm at the rink. Like you just go and you focus on something that you're passionate about, and all your troubles just kind of, they go away and you get lost in the love of the sport. So that I really appreciate that answer for sure.
It's almost like you're outside of, you know, paddling, or for Chris and I, it would be hockey. You're sitting there before you get to your event. You're bitching and complaining about life, and then next thing you know, you're like, "What was I just complaining about 20 minutes ago?"
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. It's the best way to forget about problems. Our coach used to say the best way to get rid of pain is to replace it with different pain. And then she would
I
give us
haven't
some
heard that
kind of
one. That's a
crazy
good one.
practice to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Love
So
that.
anytime we were complaining about tests we had coming up or school projects we had to do or whatever, and she would just say, get out there on the water. I don't care about your problems.
So
Go paddle as
that
fast as
must
you
be a
can.
Helen quote, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
Okay, we got to get a good Helen story now. I think it's time to tee that up, because you've told me some great
I've
ones.
told you a few good ones.
These boys haven't heard any of them, so I'll let you take over on that one.
Oh, what's your favorite one? I've told you.
I had the list. I mean, there's so many of them.
I had the list of all the ones I sent you. I lost it scrolling through looking for it, but there's some really good ones. Um, I think this was one that you liked, and it's one that we still say at the club all the time. There was right before a race. This was our WOD qualifier for nationals, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and one of the guys was just like doing the sign of the cross before he had to go out on the water, and the coach turns to our coach was from Russia. She was the national team coach of Russia before she came over to Richmond Hill and became the club coach. And she just goes, "Shasha, why are you praying? I'm the only god on the water." And we were all laughing about that. We still, Helen's not even our coach anymore. We still say that all the time.
That's
Um,
amazing.
that's a good one. Yeah. Um, there was I could keep going as long until you stop me, so I'll stop myself before I start telling a
Keep
bunch of
going,
going,
stories.
these are
girl.
all
Keep
great
going.
stories.
One of my personal favorites is before. So when we're at nationals, when nationals is over, we have the junior dance and senior dance at the end of nationals, and it was my first nationals, which was 2017 in Welland. Me and one of my friends, we got a bronze medal in the K2, and then after the next day or whatever was the junior dance, and she says, "No green makeup, only skirts past your knees, no dancing with boys." All kinds of rules she gave us before we were going to the dance. Yeah, that's one of my personal favorites. No green makeup. We were laughing about that for a while. I know another one of Brett's favorites. I told him we used to have this plastic duck that we would tape to the top of the work canoe, like a like our lucky symbol, because we never used to do war canoe because that's a 15-person canoe, and we were such a small club that we never got to do it. We only had like 6 people. So the year we finally were allowed to do one of the guys brought this like a hunting duck, like one of those plastic decoy ducks, and duct taped it to the top of the war canoe. And she was not happy about that, and she ripped that off pretty fast, and you can still see the duct tape marks on the war canoe where it ripped the wood.
Did you guys name the duck?
We did. I don't remember what it was though. It really didn't last long enough for him to make a lasting impression.
She had it
He was
off so
only-
quick.
She killed it pretty quick.
Yeah, he was only there for a day or two. It didn't last long enough for us to get really attached.
That's too funny, too funny.
Mm.
Oh my. So my next question for you, Sarah, and you know, with sport, we talk about, you know, using it as a getaway and stuff like that, but sport comes with, you're faced with adversity, you're faced with challenges, and I kind of want to hear, you know, a little bit of adversity that you had to face and how you overcame that as an athlete and as a person.
Yeah, there's when Helen left the club was probably the biggest adversity I faced. That was right before my Junior Worlds trials. So trials for us are in like May and June, and she left in February, so it was pretty close leading into Junior Worlds trials, and I was about to go to Florida. So I was 18 at this point. Junior Worlds for us is 18, and that was hard, losing my coach that close to Junior Worlds. And the year before, when I was 17, I was like one person away from making Junior Worlds, so I was already that close, and losing my coach that close to my last chance to make Junior Worlds was pretty scary. And kind of having no coach at that point for the last 4 or 5 months of my preparations for Junior Worlds was pretty scary. Yeah, but I had some other supports in my life that helped me with that kind of stuff, and was able to help me stay motivated and not get too scared about that kind of stuff. So that's what got me through that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever doesn't end you makes you stronger, right? So you got through it, and I'm sure it made you stronger as a person and stronger as an athlete as well. So
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Not only that, but you also went to Junior Worlds and absolutely kicked ass there. Like,
She left that. She was a little modest. Left that part out. Hey?
yeah,
and then it was,
exactly. Like not only bounce back from losing your coach, but like making history at Junior Worlds too. Like,
yeah, and then it was from making that K4 medal, I made the national team for the first time then, and then I got with the national team coach and all that kind of stuff, and then I didn't have to worry about it so much anymore. So I got a new coach, and things worked out in the end.
They always do, it seems, right? That's awesome.
Exactly.
Adam, what's your next question, buddy?
I guess my next question is, when you're competing, do you find you're nervous before a race? Because when I was racing in Special Olympics, like 10 years ago, I used to just be almost shaking to the point where I couldn't almost race. Do you find you get that before your race?
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the type of race and the situation and stuff. For when we're in crew boat races, I generally find it less nervous because there's other people there, and you're usually talking to each other for most of the warm up and stuff, so it kind of helps keep the nerves in check. But definitely in singles races, especially in important competitions like national trials and stuff, I get a lot more nervous for national trials than I do for actual worlds and stuff like that, because if you mess up at the national trials, you don't even get to go to worlds. So I get more nervous for those ones than I do for worlds. But try to just stay calm and stuff like that. I find that I'm less nervous when there's shorter breaks. Like we had a competition last year where because of the way they dealt with the COVID rules, it ended up being girls would go in the morning and guys would go in the afternoon. So all of our races that would normally take us all day long was compressed into like 3 hours. So we would do like our heat, like 1 hour break, semi, like an hour break, and then final. So there's not really time to get nervous there. And that was a really successful competition for me too, because it just kind of just keep plowing through it. But the competitions where you have like 4 hour long breaks in the middle of the day and you're just sitting there with your thoughts waiting for
Oh,
the
I
race
hate
to
those
come
so
is
much.
that's when it starts to get tricky for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, those drive me crazy.
So Hibby, what's how about we hit you up for your next question there, bro?
Yes, so I just I had to do a little fact checking here just to make sure that I got this right. But we're going to talk about Canada Games because I mean talk about absolutely crushing it. Four gold medals, and you were also Ontario's flag bearer too. And like Canada Games is such a huge competition. Like I remember going in 2017. It was really cool because it's for a lot of athletes, it's their first time being a part of something bigger than just your own sport. There's you got like 20 other sports, you got 1,000 athletes. There's so much going on, but out of everyone there, and especially like I mean like Nova Scotia always does really well in the paddling events alone, but like I mean Ontario just they dominate in everything being Ontario, and as much as that kind of kills me to say that because they're always our rival, but you were the flag bearer for Ontario. Like how like talk us through like what did they do to say that you were going to be like the flag bearer at the closing ceremonies and just like everything about that, because that was such a huge event.
Yeah, that was amazing. There was, I think, 330 or so athletes from Ontario across all different sports, and there was each sport's allowed to nominate one person. So when my coach, that was coaching the Ontario team, came up to me on, it was the third day of the competition. So at that point, I had 3 gold medals already, and then one more race the next day. And he said, "I'm gonna nominate you for the flag bearer. Would you want to do it?" Because I wasn't supposed to stay for the closing ceremonies. I had a flight to Nova Scotia to train for U23 Worlds, and then we were taken off to Szeged the week after. So I had to change my plane ticket to stay for the closing ceremonies and stuff. So he was asking me if I would actually do that, and of course I said yes, thinking no way was I actually going to get it because there was so many amazing athletes in Ontario, and track and swimming and everything. Ontario did so well in everything. And then it was the 5th day. So our competition was only 4 days. So the 5th day of competition, we were off and we were just we were watching some track, and there was like a festival going on, stuff like that. We were just kind of having a good time. And I got a call from the chef de mission of Team Ontario, and I was like, okay, that's probably a good sign. And she said she told me to come meet her at some building, and I was going over there. And then when I got there was like 5 guys in suits and a couple of cameramen and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, this is probably a good
There's no
sign.
way this is not going to be.
Yeah.
This can't be bad news.
Exactly. Yeah.
Breaking news.
Yeah, exactly. So they did a little presentation there. They gave me the flag. I did like a 5-10 minute long interview. I took some pictures, stuff like that. Met a bunch of people, shook some hands, that kind of stuff, and then it was all fun after that. They had to teach me how to wave the flag and keep going on from there.
Oh, what an honor that must have been, and
Yeah,
such
that
a
was
proud
incredible.
moment. And again, something you'll always remember, I'm sure.
Did they let
Definitely.
you keep
That
the
was
flag?
incredible. They did, yeah. The flag that, not the flag that I was actually waving in the ceremonies, but the one that they gave me when they told me they had a flag for me, and I have some pictures with it and stuff, and they gave it to me. I still have that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we had a lot of flag thieves at our Canada game, so I think everybody was trying to take the flags from everywhere. So
Yeah. We didn't have any flags with us in the actual competition. That was the only flag I actually saw the whole time I was there.
I
I
mean
guess because
that's the most
the one
important flag to
before,
have. So
yeah, I guess because you guys kept stealing them. So this year they didn't give them to us.
I mean
They didn't make them.
I don't have a PEI flag still at all. So
They
Can't
had,
trust those mirror timers, hey?
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. They ruined it for us.
all
But
new.
this year we had, this was an Ontario only thing at this one, but we had, they called them thunder sticks. So there were these like balloon tubes that we would whack together and make crazy loud sounds. They gave those to us on the first day, and it was kind of a competition who could whack them so loud that they would pop. And we were clapping with those the whole competition, and we were using them the whole week. The
Don't let
last
Demi
race
get
of
a
the
hold of those.
No, really no.
yeah, so we were using those the whole competition, but the very last race of the competition is the 5Ks, which is like a roughly 25-minute long race for for each discipline. So to watch, I wasn't racing it, a different girl for our province was racing it. So to do all 4 disciplines, it takes like 2-3 hours to do all the races. We're all just standing on the side, and we're all done racing, so it's the last race competitions. We're all just standing on the sides watching these paddlers race 5K, just absolutely whacking these sticks together.
Absolute madness. That was my main race at Canada Games. So that was because I was with men's canoe. I was the very, very, very last race, and the first couple kayak races before that, they were a little chaotic. So I was just there like watching. I was just like, oh, it's like, I think my biggest concern, I was like, I don't want to miss the turn buoy. just make sure you make the first turn and let's not end up in the water.
Yeah, the chaotic 5Ks are the ones that are really fun to watch. This year they went pretty smoothly this year, which is good for the racers, not as interesting for the spectators, but I mean, it's a good thing. But when the little chaos happens, it's fun to watch for sure.
Oh yeah, they're everybody always complains about doing them, but they're so much fun. They're great. I mean, I guess this year wasn't the most successful year for 5Ks for me. I ended up just crashing on a portage and ended up breaking a boat in Poznan. When I ran into a lamppost. Not sure how I managed that one, but there's no video evidence of that, thank goodness, because if not, I would be worried that would go viral.
Ran the 5Ks in Poznan with how wavy it was at that competition. I thought for sure they were going to cancel those.
I was kind of crossing my fingers that they would, but I was, but no, I did it, and I put a crack right through the boat, and because they were knocking people out of every lap, and I knew I had the pass the guy from Japan in order to stay in the race, and ran right by him in the portage, but did not see the giant speaker and post on the left side just crash, and I'm just looking around and everybody's just like, oh, and I'm just like, oh, that was way too loud. I was like, oh, that did not sound good, that did not look good.
Maybe you're too modest, buddy. I wouldn't last 10 meters in one of those boats. I would be in the water ASAP. Like the amount of balance and the strength that you guys have, I wouldn't last 10 meters.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, you tried it. You tried out a C1, I think, a couple, like, what was it, last summer or 2 summers ago?
Yeah, I think maybe last summer in Nova Scotia or something. Yeah, it's they're tricky.
We always switch up because we think like, I was like, oh yeah, I can definitely go in a kayak, and kayakers think, oh yeah, I can go in a canoe, and then it's always so much harder than you think. Every time I sit in the kayak, I'm like, oh my goodness, my back cannot do this. No for me, dog.
Time I go in a canoe, I'm like, oh my god, you guys spend this much time on your knee? That's insane. Yeah, it's you think the balance translates between the two, but it really doesn't. You end up in the water pretty quick.
Oh my. So we are like the half hour is flying by, Sarah, but I do have my final question of the night anyway, and I'll let the boys take over after that. But just obviously, you know, the accolades are there. You've had the success and stuff. But one thing, and it's the beauty of sport, is always trying to inspire others to do great things. So what would you say to the 7-year-old that's thinking about trying out and trying to get in the boat for the first time, or just, you know, for girls across the country that want to try something new? What would you say to them, or how do you hope to inspire them?
Just to keep doing what you love, and make sure you keep loving it, and don't take it so seriously that you stop loving it, because that's the most important part. And when you stop having fun, it spirals after that. You lose the results, and that makes you love it even less, and then it just keeps spiraling from there. So you gotta make sure that first and foremost is that fun, and that love of the sport always stays there, no matter what the results or the situation or the environment is, just to keep that feeling going.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Boys, you got anything else for Sarah for the night here?
Yeah, I'll tee you up, Danny, and then I got one more afterwards.
Well, we were talking about thunder sticks earlier, and next time Sarah's in Nova Scotia during high school playoffs, you gotta take her to a cheetah cheetah playoff game, because I tell you, the difference between a CPA cheetahs hockey game in the playoffs is like going to Europe, a European soccer game.
I don't know about that, Dan.
Yeah, you need the tin roof of the LeBron for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, the place is just a bump, and that's what I mean though.
Yeah, well, Sarah will most certainly be back in Nova Scotia. I mean, we got a set of trials in Dartmouth at some point in time in September. Nationals are also here next year as well too. So that's going to be a big one. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to watch both of us race.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be back for sure. I'll be back in no time, and I'll be there for a while, I'm sure.
Yeah, and my last kind of thing, and this is kind of news we've both kind of received within like the last month, but that we both got the Can Fund sponsorship, and I just wanted to say like congrats on that too. Like we both got it right around the same time. Just kind of like what has that kind of meant for you, and like how is that going to help you for like this coming year?
That was amazing, and that was a huge surprise for me too. I wasn't expecting that, and but it was amazing, and it came at a good time for me, a time I needed a little more motivation to keep me going, and it was a great surprise and a great opportunity. The people talk a lot about getting the money, and the money's going to help you, but even just without the money, just being part of the community and just joining the group of amazing athletes, mine's also on the Can Fund 150 women side of it, is the money's all donated by women, and it goes all to female athletes. So having that support's amazing. And there's about 500, and I think she said 538 of us or so female athletes supported by that now. So joining that, it's a big community, and the regular Can Fund community is even bigger than that, and they're all incredible athletes. So joining that group was a big honor for sure. I'm sure Brett felt the same way when he got it.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, like the Can Fund, like 150, like women donation, like it's a like a women supporting women like cause, and it's such a huge like it's been such a huge campaign that they started. That I think that it's been around for a couple of years now, but yeah, it's really taken off, and it's had a lot of success, and it's supported amazing athletes like yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they started it for the Canada 150 year was kind of how it started. So that's been going about 5 years now. Their goal was to support 150 women, and now they're up to right around 530. So it's taken off, and it's incredible. It supported a lot of people and helped a lot of people do some incredible things.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of great support, not just for women's sports, but for you personally, and that's pretty awesome, and that's I guess we're really both proud to be Can Fund members of the Can Fund family in Squad.
Yeah, for sure, it's amazing, and there's quite a few of us in the canoe kayak world part of that Can Fund team now. A couple more even just got it today, and the community is growing, and it's amazing. It's an amazing organization to be part of.
But yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on. Like I know time really flies really quick, especially when we could even do a second episode of just Helen stories in general, and we could have a really hilarious episode there. But thank you so much for coming on. I know Chris and Adam were really pumped when I said that we were getting you on this week, and you've had some great stories to share. Any last thoughts from the fellas?
I just want to kind of echo what Himmy said. Just thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your experiences with us. It's been a really fun episode for us, and we just really appreciate you, and keep working hard and crushing goals, girl. You got some fans in the BHD sports family, that's for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me on. It was a really fun time. I've never been on a podcast before. This is a first for me.
You did a great job, honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You crushed it.
Thank you.
So anyways, folks, that'll do it for episode 19 of BHD Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.